Hey guys, Banjo's back. Just wanted to do a quick little article read before I went to sleep tonight. Everything's going pretty good on me. Did a little bit of yoga, that was fun. Went on a walk, all the good stuff, all the usual things. Anyways, I've been wanting to cover this topic for a while, but I never seem to find the time. But now I'm gonna go ahead and do it just because I got an extra 30 minutes before I go to sleep. But anyways, I want to start off by saying that the Me Too movement, in my opinion, when it comes to Hollywood, is probably one of the best things that ever happened to it. One of the best things that ever happened. I used to work on a bunch of movie sets, and Jesus, the amount of people. Oh, okay, so I'll be honest with you guys, 100% honest with you guys. The amount of people who were sleeping their way to the top, you'd be surprised. You really would be surprised. You would. What you would not be surprised about is the amount of people who are getting harassed, either sexual or physical. Now, I was very fortunate that I got to work on some very small film sets, just very tiny independent stuff. And since everybody was basically broke, we were all in the toilet together. Instead of using a bad word, I'm just gonna go with toilet. But there was geez, I wish I could share some stories that were shared with me. I'm not going to, just to protect those people's privacies, but man, it is rough out there for some people, and it's just, so I'm really excited that that happened. It was hijacked, and it essentially became a witch hunt, and I'm really upset about the fact that a lot of celebrities just bandwagging it because it sounds cool and it is cool, but they were very very quiet when the biggest Hollywood predators were running around rampant. Nobody did anything. So I just want to call BS on most of the celebrities you see nowadays who are all up in arms about how bad these things were. Because let me tell you something. Even though we never made any big movies or anything like that, and even though I'm just working my way back up again, or at least further than what I got before, it's kind of hard not to know what's going on unless the person you're with is a big time monster or you're just blinded by something. I don't know. It's kind of hard. So a lot of these celebrities, I just call BS on them not knowing. They knew. They knew. They just didn't care enough, or they just liked the place they were in life because of what was happening, so they kept their mouth shut, so they wouldn't lose money, I suppose. That's just my opinion as to why they let it happen, because it was fairly obvious. I mean, The Godfather has a reference to basically the casting couch. The Godfather, that's a pretty old movie, and guess what? If you read some of these historical texts, or at least in the film industry, it's been going on for a very, very long time. But anyways, I just wanted to point out some of the things that happened, which is when you tell people just to blindly, let's just look specifically here. This is an older article. We're just gonna move on to the more recent ones, just so you guys can know what's going on. So Neil deGrasse Tyson addresses sexual misconduct accusations. I'm the accused, so I believe anything I say. And this one's by Dino Ray Ramos, December 1st, 2018, at 2:44 p.m. Like I said, this is an older one, so we're just gonna work our way backwards. This gentleman here happens to be Neil deGrasse Tyson. So here we go. Neil deGrasse Tyson has finally come forward to address sexual misconduct accusations that came to light in the last couple of days in a lengthy Facebook post. He said his piece and went through the accusations in detail, giving his side of the story. And here's the thing: no matter how you guys feel about anything, if somebody's being accused, especially in this country, they do have their right to share their side of the story. Uh, you don't have to like it, but that's just the rights they do have. Uh, Anyways, just move on onward. I've recently been publicly accused of sexual misconduct, he wrote in the post. These accusations have received a fair amount of press in the past 48 hours and accompanied by my reactions. In many cases, it's not the media's fault. I decline comment on the grounds that serious accusations should not be adjudicated in the press. But clearly, I cannot continue to be silent, and I agree with that. I am of the opinion when someone is accused of this specific type of crime and a few others, their private, their who they are should remain private until after the fact. Again, I'm always open to new perspectives, and even saying that, I'm a little hesitant because I could think of so many scenarios where you're better off telling the world who that person is. But what happens if you have the wrong person? What happens if this person did nothing? So again, I do agree with him on this portion of the thing, that when it comes to the media, it seems to be a lot less about the truth and a lot more about the show and what sells. But anyways, the famous astrophysicist TV personality has been accused by two more women of sexual misconduct, bringing the total number of women who have come forward to three. Jesus, three. In light of the allegations, the network Fox and Nat Geo and the producers behind the Emmy-winning Cosmos reboot on Friday announced they would investigate the claims. In his post, Tyson said he welcomes an independent investigation, and you know what? That's great. He's open to it. He's like, okay, bring it on. Let's do this, because he most likely believes in his innocence. Here we go. He unpacked the accusations starting in 2009, where he was accused of groping a fan. He then talked about an incident and actually looked up the picture of this groping the fan. And I saw a few other news articles that talked about it in another video of a trusted reporter, a reporter I actually do trust. Keep in mind, I'm not actually a reporter. I'm just sharing my opinion on what I see on the internet and the world. But in a reporter I do trust, and they do a lot better job of breaking this down. So if you're interested, just Google and you'll find plenty more. But anyways, I'll show you guys a picture later, and you guys could be the judge and, make up your minds on what's going on. He then talked about an incident with a PA in 2018. At one point, he told her, "If I hug you, I might just want more." She was creeped out when he invited her over for some wine and cheese. He also addressed allegations from the early 80s when he was accused of drugging and raping a woman. "I'm the accused, so why believe anything I say? Why believe me at all?" he concluded. And you know what? I could understand why he would say that in the MeToo era, where people are saying believe her no matter what, or believe him no matter what. It kind of makes it difficult for somebody to defend themselves. There's this great movie called Sleepers. I'm not going to give it away, but long story short, you kind of find out that maybe the person that wrote the book may have embellished some things. Again, I hope I'm not confusing the movie, but it's called Sleepers. Brad Pitt's in it, so is Robert De Niro. Check it out. Alright, let's see what else we got here. I don't know. Again, sorry about the heavy breathing. I have no idea why I do this on the microphone. Everywhere else, I'm practically silent. He added, "Accusations can damage your reputation and a marriage, sometimes irreversibly." And this is true. I knew a teacher who was accused by a student of something he did not do. To make matters worse, he wasn't at his school site that day, and the investigation was carried on. Practically destroyed a lot of. He had to leave. Basically, he had to leave. From what I'm told, he lost a lot of family relationships because many people didn't believe that he was innocent. He lost a lot of friends, even though he wasn't at work. So these things do happen. They do happen, unfortunately. And unfortunately, a lot of women and men are victims of sexual assault. And guess what? They don't get justice. That also happens, unfortunately. Anyways, "I see myself as a loving husband, a public servant, a scientist and educator who serves at the will of the public. I am grateful for the support I have received from those who continue to respect and value me and my work." His entire statement below. "For a variety of reasons most justified," and okay, first of all, I have no idea, maybe this is my browser, but I have no idea why they wrote it like this, but okay, let's keep going. "For a variety of reasons most justified, some unjustified men accused of sexual impropriety in today's MeToo climate are presumed to be guilty by the court of public opinion." And that's never good. That's never good. That's what I always say. If you have information that could lead to a potential arrest of somebody or something like that, go to the right authorities, usually law enforcement. They can figure it out for you. Where are we? "Emotions bypass due process. People choose sides, and the social media war begins." And that's what happens. And the worst part is when people are wrong, instead of coming to the light. Yeah, I'll put it like coming to the light. They tend to double down on their failures and on their wrongness because I don't know, something about people. "In any claim, evidence matters. Evidence always matters. But what happens when it's just one person's word against another and the stories don't agree? That's when people tend to pass judgment on who is more credible than whom. And that's when an impartial investigation can best serve the truth and would have my full cooperation to do so. I've recently been publicly accused of sexual misconduct. These accusations have received a fair amount of press in the past 48 hours, unaccompanied by my reaction. In many cases, it's not the media's fault. I decline comments on the ground that serious accusations should not be adjudicated in the press." And again, I believe he's right. I've had family members who were accused of major crimes, and I know nothing about them, but when I heard, I was like, yeah, I could see that person doing that crime. I also assume that the best place to do it was at the at the legal level, at the courts with law enforcement. Because guess what, me saying that doesn't actually make them you know guilty. That's just me saying I could see them doing the crime. For all I know, they were innocent, and you know what? Turns out they weren't. But anyways, back to this. Let's see. Decline. Right here, I decline comments on the ground that serious accusations should not be adjudicated in the press, but clearly I cannot continue to stay silent, so below I offer my account of each accusation. Okay, 2009 incident. I am asked by thousands of people per year to take pictures with them, a flattering, time consuming, but delightful chore. As many in my fan base can attest, I get almost giddy if I notice you're wearing cosmic bling, clothing, or jewelry, or tattoos that portray the universe either scientifically or artistically, and I make it a priority to point out those adornments for the photograph. A colleague at a well attended after conference social gathering came up to me to ask for a photo. She was wearing a sleeveless dress with a tattooed solar system with a tattooed solar system extending up her arm, and while I didn't explicitly remember searching for Pluto at the top of her shoulder, it is surely something I would have done in that situation. As we all know, I have professional history with the demotion of Pluto, which had occurred officially just 3 years earlier, so whether people include it or not in their tattoos is of great interest to me. I was reported to have groped her by searching up her dress, when this was simply a search under the covered part of her shoulder of the sleeveless dress. I only just learned 9 years after that she thought this behavior creepy. And see, Jesus, come on. Let me show you guys a picture so you can see what's going on. I did a quick Google search. I literally typed in Neil deGrasse Tyson looking at woman's tattoo, and this is what came up. If anything, in my opinion, and comparing it to my New York incident, this doesn't really look like sexual assault or groping. It looks more like a guy who can't keep his hands. I wouldn't even say that. I don't know, just like an idiot who didn't know any better, who should have known better. Yeah, but groping with, I don't know. I wouldn't go as far as to say sexual misconduct allegation. I don't know. I honestly don't think this is a. But then again, this is just the one picture. I wonder if there's more. And this is more of the people accusing this guy. By the way, just a quick heads up. I'm not a big fan of him. Just throwing that out there. I am not a big fan of him, but it doesn't really seem like. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't call this. I guess groping in the sense that he's holding her arm, but I don't know, not sexual. Anyway, so I had to look at the picture to see what was going on. And this is also hard for me because even up to the New York thing, I've always found it weird to tell people to like leave me alone, but I've been getting better at that, so I really think that's something that everybody should work on. Anyways, I that was never my intent. I'm deeply sorry to have made her feel that way. I had been told of her discomfort in that moment. I would have offered her the same apology eagerly and on the spot. In my mind's eye, I am a friendly and accessible guy, but going forward, I can surely be more sensitive to people's personal space, even in the midst of a planetary enthusiasm. Uh, you know what's funny? Ever since the Me Too movement, the what I would call the workplace rules were changed, but nobody knows to what. So I always say, and my rules are always, which is really weird because these are the rules I've had since forever. I was a really weird kid, and that is, please don't touch me, and I won't touch you. Don't hug me unless you ask. Uh, and we're only talking if it's work related. Anything after that, it's like a no go. No private life, no nothing. Don't ask me how my family is. It's irrelevant to you. Straight to work. And to me, that's a great work environment. To some of my coworkers, it is hell. But hey, anyways, and if you guys want to read more about what he had to say, it goes in a little deeper. Let's check out a few more. We already looked at that. Here's one more article. March 15, 2019. Neil deGrasse Tyson will return to the television following sexual misconduct investigation. Neil deGrasse Tyson will return to television after a temporary suspension to investigate allegations of sexual misconduct against him. And let's see a little further. Right here, third paragraph. Yep, that's the third paragraph. One, two, three. Okay. The investigation is complete and we are moving forward with both StarTalk and Cosmos. The network announced in a joint statement StarTalk will return to the air with the remaining 13 episodes in April on National Geographic, and both Fox and National Geographic are committed to finding airtime for Cosmos. There will be no further comment. Okay, so long story short, they did their thing, and guess what? They found nothing. They moved on. Two women accused Tyson of inappropriate sexual behavior. A story posted in November 2018. Pathos described itself as a premier online that's relevant. Tyson denied it, and right here, this guy. See, back to what I was saying earlier. Do you really think no one knew what he was doing? I guarantee you a lot of people knew what Harvey Weinstein was doing. I guarantee you that. But did they care to stop it? Nope. And in my opinion, it's because a lot of people, again, in my opinion, it's because a lot of people were having successful careers. And not only that, a lot of people were probably more than happy to participate if it meant getting ahead. Like I said, I was very fortunate when I was working on film sets, which most of them were very small movies that either never were completed, or if they were completed, ended up sitting in somebody's shelf or desk, or if they were released, just became absolutely nothing. Maybe I might share one of my film set stories, but man, boy, does it happen. Boy, do people get harassed, and it's awful. It's awful. I can't stress it. But anyways, and here's another one. Tyson keeps museum post after sexual misconduct probe. This one's shorter. Astrophysicist Neil Degrasse Tyson will keep his job as head of the Hayden Planetarium at New York American Museum of Natural History after the museum concluded its investigation into sexual misconduct accusations against him. A museum spokesman said in a statement Thursday that based on the results of the investigation, Tyson remains an employee and director of the Hayden Planetarium. And that's it. That's pretty straightforward. And then one more, just another one from the New York Times. This one was from radio.com, local news, the Associated Press. Yep. And then this one is written by Elizabeth A. Harris. I thought it said doctor for a second. It just goes in a little more detail. Same thing as everything. My advice to you guys out there, but keep in mind that this is just who I am as a person. One more time, this is who I am as a person. When it comes to hugging, ask first, please. Ask first. There's been a few times where a girl, usually girls, would try to hug me, and I'd put my hand up like towards her forehead, and I'd like reach out as in the handshake, and they'd just be like, "What? Don't you like me?" And I'm like, "I like you just fine, but hug first, please, because my back hurts, so please hug first." And I recommend that, especially if you work in a place where you don't know anyone or you don't have any long-term friends. Be very clear and precise about what your intentions are and what you're trying to accomplish, and then just move. I don't know. It just seems like the Me Too did the Me Too did right in the sense that it brought out the Hollywood predators. But in my opinion, the Me Too movement has fractured male and female relationships, because I know a good amount of guys who run businesses, their own businesses. They're pulling. I know them in the sense that I used to talk to them. I don't talk to them anymore. But anyways, they run their businesses, and they're pulling in, at the time, from my estimates, I could be wrong, really, really good money. And guess what? They would refuse to work with women or be alone in a room with a woman in case of accusations. And most of them pointed to the fact that, like, oh, they're coming 30 years after the fact and accusing us of stuff. And, so it's a pretty confusing time. I read this article. Somebody shared it with me. That person who shared it with me was like, "Oh, I'm really happy that it worked out for him." And I have to say this in the sense, this is really bittersweet, because on the one hand, yeah, he gets to keep his job, he gets to go back to his life. On the other hand, you gotta understand that For a lot of people, they will never for sure know what happened, and so they're always gonna assume the worst, or they're always gonna assume the best, and that's a shame, man. It's just terrible. I also want to say something that Hollywood culture is not the rest of American culture, and if you guys are looking at Hollywood culture as a guidance to the way you should live your life and treat people, geez, I really hope you, man, that's just no way to live. I'm telling you that right now. But now I'm just rambling. So hey guys, thank you for listening. I just wanted to go over this real quick, give you my opinion on it. Again, it's just bittersweet that this is going on. It's just, in a sense, it's freaking terrible. Uh, I don't know how else to summarize it. But anyways, thank you guys for listening again. As always, I'm always open to your opinions and your arguments and your statements, and I really want to hear what you guys have to say. So if you like, leave a comment. I know I sound funny, but hey, thanks. And again, thank you for listening. I hope you guys are having a good night, and I'll probably check out some other stuff later. Anyways, peace.